Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, in our last video, we are discussing the quality of tawakkul, and we want to just expand on this understanding of reliance on Allah. Some people, they're obsessed with the means in this world. They're constantly looking at, their job and their own abilities, and they don't even think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is not reliance on Allah, to not even factor in the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control of everything. But then the opposite is true, where there's people who will just say they rely on Allah and then they leave the means. They don't take the means. And this is also not a proper understanding. That we take the means because the means were created by Allah for us to take, and then we rely on Allah. And there's a famous example of this, of a Sahaba who asked the Prophet ﷺ, should I tie my camel and trust in Allah, or should I leave her untied and trust in Allah? And what did the Prophet ﷺ say? He said, tie her and then trust in Allah. And there's another example, a very interesting example for our times, under the pandemic, where at the time of Umar anhu, there was a plague, the plague of Amwas that broke out. And Umar anhu, he was traveling to Asham, and then he stopped by a city, and he was informed, Abu Ubaidah al-Jarrah and other Sahaba informed him that there was a plague that broke out in Asham. So Umar anhu, he didn't know what to do at this point. So he made shura with his Sahaba and the people around him, and they decided they won't enter into Asham because a plague had broken out, and they returned to Medina. So then Abu Ubaidah asked Umar anhu, Afiraran min qadrillah? Are you running away from the qadr of Allah? And what did Umar say? He said, oh Abu Ubaidah, if only somebody else had asked such a thing. And then he said, Na'am, nafirru min qadrillah ila qadrillah. That yes, we are running from the qadr of Allah to the qadr of Allah. That we are running from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed this plague to happen, but He has also ordained that we take the means to protect ourselves from that plague. They're both from the qadr of Allah, and it's not from lack of reliance to take the means to protect ourselves. SubhanAllah, this is an amazing statement of Umar anhu. And then Abdurrahman ibn Auf, he further solidified Umar anhu's stance by quoting a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said, if you hear about an outbreak of plague in the land, do not go to it. And if the plague breaks out in a country where you are staying, do not run away from it. So this is a beautiful example of how the Sahaba understood reliance on Allah. And when we develop that reliance, we should understand that amongst the amazing virtues of relying on Allah is وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلْ اللَّهُ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised that whoever relies on Him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will suffice for him. And subhanAllah, this is amazing, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of our needs if we rely on Him. And there's a famous hadith again in this regard, where the Prophet said, لو أنكم كنتم توكلون الله حق توكله لرزقتم كما يرزق الطير تغدو خماسا وتروح بطانا. That if you were to rely upon Allah with the reliance due to Him, He would provide for you just as He provides for the birds. They go out in the morning with empty stomachs and they return full. And subhanAllah, this is a beautiful hadith. The birds, they don't have anxiety, they don't have sleepless nights where they can't think about where they're getting food. They just go out and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fills their stomachs. And also the secret in this hadith is that they go out. They're not just staying in their nest. They go out, they search for rizq, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives from them. But they have that reliance in Allah. And this is the reliance that we need to develop. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who are relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way we should, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.